Okay, no audio.
Hi.
I don't think they can hear me. Can they? Okay, we're gonna try it one more time. Sorry, sometimes this happens.
Okay, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, hang on. Sorry. Okay, can you guys hear?
Are we all good?
Mom, can you hear both of us? Okay, I think.
We're
All right,
all
we're good. Sorry about that.
okay.
I thought of a question, and if do you mind taking a couple more? Is that okay?
Yeah,
All right. So if we lost the questions when we transferred over. So if you guys want to ask or re-ask a question, we'll get to a couple of those. I thought of one because I get this a lot, and the organization gets this a lot, and I feel like you'll relate. I think people sort of want to know, how can I be vulnerable? And with that, maybe how can I begin to be vulnerable? And I think what you've shared even today is sort of what's been a process for you. And I love to share that I think it is, in a way, it's like working out. It's like practicing, where, like anything, if you practice, you get better. And I don't want to make that your answer, but I wonder what you would offer to someone who is kind of just wondering, how do I begin to talk about how I feel? How do I begin to share my struggles? You, Ashlyn, you're so great at it, but how could I do that? I'm afraid, or I'm anxious, or I've tried it and it didn't go well. I wonder what your advice might be.
You know, honestly, for me, and I can only speak for myself, but how this whole process starts for me is actually internally. Like, I have to be kind to myself first before I could ever be vulnerable and kind to other people. And that is like, that takes work, because it still is a struggle for me to even wake up and feel like I'm enough to the person I'm looking at in the mirror. So that, I think, coming to terms with that first was huge, because if I couldn't sit in the space of myself, how would I ever be able to do that in front of people? So I really focused on giving myself grace and, you know, continuing to have inner dialogue with myself and be vulnerable with myself, and taking that time to see how it felt. And it's hard to sit there and wake up in the morning and look at yourself and strip away everything, because we do, you know, I have a lot of self-hatred, and it has created a lot of problems and addictions in my life. So if I can't come to terms with the person I look at in the mirror, I can't be vulnerable with other people. So that has been my guiding light. You know, every morning is a choice. Every morning I wake up, I have to be kind to myself. And that has carried me into every time. And my teammates and my coaches will all tell you, I'm the last one out of the tunnel. And honestly, I have to look at myself in the mirror, because I've created this vulnerability with myself, that I have to look at myself and be like, you're good enough. No matter what, this is just a game. No matter how this goes, you are still loved, and no one is going to think differently of you. And I genuinely have to be kind to myself. And until I can look at myself and see that I mean it, I do not leave that locker room, because it's a mental state for me, and it's important, and it's a part of my process. And I need those steps to go out there and give myself to my fans, my team, my coaches. But it starts with me first every day. It's, you know, giving myself grace and kindness and understanding, and letting myself know that I am okay and that I am enough. And that way I can go out there and I can be confident, and I can speak the word that I truly believe. Because if I hate myself and I'm walking out here trying to tell everyone how to live their life and follow by my example, it's not real.
Yeah.
So it is something I have to practice every single day. And there are times where I fall short, and I have to go back into that mirror in my bedroom and shut the door and strip everything away and be kind to myself. It's a process.
Yeah. That's so good. And honestly, I love that question, and I feel like it shows up a lot. And I was really curious for your take on it. I have one more, and then maybe we'll get to just a couple from these folks. You are so relational. We talked about that. That was evident at your wedding. I mean, obviously, people go to weddings, but even teammates, former teammates, that clearly mean so much to you and to Allie. And I think I feel like we've even talked just about how that feels like a vital role for you to care about your teammates and to even help create and establish culture. And I wonder just how do you navigate that in the midst of competing for roster spots? Sorry, barking dogs. Roster spots, minutes, people coming in and out of camp. Are we going to see them again? Obviously your job is unique and your coworkers are unique, but I think we can all relate to having coworkers and having friends, and just this idea that we are made for relationships. And I feel like you do such a good job of being real and caring for folks. And so I just wonder if you could share about that dynamic. I think I've shared this with you. Like, one of my favorite women's national team subplots is that you and Alyssa love each other. Like, you care about each other, and she was at the wedding and you root for each other. And to me, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that is something that has been built over time. I think we've been in goalkeeper unions where it hasn't been like that. So now we know the value of how we want to create a culture that is very, very competitive and hard, and we push each other. But the bottom line is it's based off love and support. We don't let bad moments seep in. We don't let selfish moments seep in. When we need to have conversations, we have them. And I'm never going to sit here and say, how does it feel to always be the two or to not start? Like, that sucks. But if she's successful, that means I'm successful and we're collectively successful. So there's no deceiving stuff going on. There's no conniving. There's no stabbing in the back. I'm not waiting for her to trip and fall on her face for me to get my next shot. My job is to show up every single day and be the best version of myself, be the best teammate, to push everyone around me. And that's what I do. And I hate takers. I hate people who come into environments and they make it about them. They just take till they drain everyone dry, and then they move on and they do the same thing somewhere else. And for us, there has to be a balance. There has to be this good culture we create where we can be unbelievable players, but we can also be unbelievable teammates. And we have learned that balance, and we do root for each other. You're absolutely right. But it has taken a long time to get there. And it is a culture that we created, that we hold on to, that we take care of, that we baby, and we don't let other things seep in to take that energy away. And I think that's with anyone's work life, like, it is what you make of it. Every single day, like, whatever culture you want to, like, bring to the table, it has to come from love and respect. I mean, there's no doubt everyone's always competing. But, I mean, you have to enjoy. I want to show up to work every single day like it's my last and enjoy it.
Yeah. I would think, too, it makes a case for mental health and your life outside of soccer. Like, you have to know who you are. Everything can't revolve around, am I the starting keeper? Do I make the team? Like, so I think when you're secure in who you are and you know who you are, I would think that probably gives you a lot of freedom as it relates to the soccer, and you can just care for these folks. You're still competing with them and, like you said, playing super hard, but you can also care about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And It's not treating people as a means to an end, like, or everyone's replaceable, which everyone at our level is. At any moment you can be gone, but there is a human component, and that is important to me. And I want to treat people like humans and not like a means to an end, that you're just serving this one purpose for this one cycle, for this one time to win this one championship. And then boom, you're gone. You hit your shelf life. You're too old. We're moving on to the next. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've given my life to this sport. I've given my life to this federation. And there has to be a human element. Otherwise, everyone's going to be takers, 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 and we're all going to be crap, and we're never going to win anything. I mean, that team that won the World Cup, we loved each other. We genuinely cared about each other no matter who was on the field. And you don't win those massive world titles without having that sense of the human element and compassion and joy and love and completely just supporting each other. You know, we're not trying to cut each other off at the knees just to get a starting spot. Like, everyone has to play their role. Everyone has a role. And it doesn't matter if you're the 1, 2, 3, or you're the 23 to 26. Everyone's valuable. Everyone plays a role to make us all successful.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I saw a good question I'm going to go back to. So if you're comfortable with this, I think this is a great question. She's getting at how did you navigate this process of getting comfortable with your sexuality? I imagine at first for you, and then to make the choice to share that in a really public, vulnerable way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it started with just fear. I was so, you know, it's just like what we talked about, is like being really, really healthy with your inner self and being very confident in who you were or who you are. I think for me, I was just so scared. And I was so scared of what people were going to think. I was so scared to get cut from the team. I was so scared to lose all my sponsorships. I was so scared what my grandparents would think or my parents would think. And it's like, eventually you get sick of living in fear. Like, I was tired of this elephant in the room, and I was tired of only pretending. I mean, it gets exhausting. I was exhausted trying to cover up if I was dating this person, or feeling like I had to be with a man because that's what society told me to do. But yet I was drowning inside because I was so unhappy. And, you know, I finally just was like, I gotta be free. Like, I have to be free. And Jamie, if I felt this way and I didn't come out till a year ago. So can you imagine if I have the status or the support I do, can you imagine how a younger kid feels? And I had to sit with that, and I felt a lot of guilt. So, you know, here I am preaching this message of, yeah, you know, all these great things, but I can't even come to terms with my own sexuality. Like, that is not good enough for me. And I finally got sick of it. I had really deep, hard conversations with some of my closest friends, and I was resistant. I felt like I was giving in and putting myself in a box, and I was labeling, and, you know, I was kicking and screaming and fighting and all these things. And then I took a step back and I was like, there are kids, young children, literally killing themselves because they don't feel like they have a place. And you're playing into that because you're making, by you not being confident with who you are, you're making other people feel like it's wrong then.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. It's like, if I can't say it, that must mean it's wrong. So this is against everything I believed. And I had to stop it. And these are the conversations Allie and I had. And I was tired of hearing about young kids suffering, and even older women and men still, having this issue. And if I could share my story, or if I could be okay talking about my sexuality, maybe it saved someone else. If I can help someone else have the courage to do what I did earlier, like maybe it saves someone's life. I don't know. I'm hopeful. But also it's like for my own selfish reasons, like I was tired of living a lie.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. What has it been like on the other side of that? Like, have you felt a freedom and a sense that,
Man, I feel so free. And honestly, I finally feel like I can give 100% of myself to everything. Before it was like half in, you know, everything I did, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out because I was living this lie, and it was a lot to keep up with this lie. And as soon as, you know, Allie and I announced it, it was just like this weight was lifted off my back, and like I was seeing clearly for the first time in my life, and I could walk out my front door holding my partner's hand and not be worried about someone looking or watching, or, you know, walking in the mall with, you know, the person I love. It was so liberating. It was so free. And it was so accepted, and I was shocked it took me that long. Sponsorships, the president of US Soccer, my coaches, everyone was so sweet and loving and caring and supportive, and like held me in this vulnerable state because I was like literally about to be in pieces. I remember just sitting by the computer like, is my life, am I going to lose everything?
yeah,
And I did nothing but gain everything. I gained this sense of respect and love, and everyone just was so supportive. And now I've become an activist more so, and, you know, talking about LGBTQ rights and fighting for my community and paving the way and being a pioneer. It's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. And I get to hear people's stories, and you know how much I love stories, and I could sit here all day and talk and listen. And I just love hearing people in our community who now feel safe, who now feel like they have a place. That's the best feeling. It just makes it all worth it.
yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Well, I think we're going to leave it there. We're so grateful for your time and your, obviously your support over the years, your vulnerability always, but again today. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. Thank you for the questions we didn't get to. I touched on this at the beginning, but just want to remind you, you can still get help in this time, even when so much is limited, whether it's a text to crisis text line, whether it's a counseling session over the phone or over Skype, whether it's thinking about self-care while you're isolated at home. Please know that you can still be healthy and you can still be connected in this time. So we want to point you back to our website, TWLOHA.com, TWLOHA.com. There is a self-care section. There's a find help section. You can enter your zip code and find local mental health resources, including free and reduced rate services. I mentioned at the beginning of our time, you can specifically find solutions and resources related to COVID-19, whether that's financial, whether it's food, whatever it might be. So we're trying to continue to add resources and ways that folks can get help, folks can find comfort and relief in this time. We love Crisis Text Line. I talk about them all the time, but you can literally send a text anytime, day or night. The number is 741-741 here in the US. They exist in Canada and the UK as well. For other international resources, you can find some of those on our website. And on behalf of the organization, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep showing up every Tuesday and Thursday in this season, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then if you can't be here live, it'll be up for 24 hours after. So just like Ashlyn, we've had a lot of things canceled, but we want to continue to meet people where they are. And we want to continue to bring hope and help. And we want to have on amazing friends as guests So Ash, I love you. Thank you for your
Buddy,
friendship.
thank
And
you for constantly serving other people, man. We need more Jamies out there in this world. So thank you for 14 amazing years of To Write Love on Our Arms. Where like we owe you big time, man. You give us a place, you give us hope. So thanks, buddy.
oh, you're the best. Well, it's so good seeing your face and talking to you. Tell Allie a lot of people loved her comment.
Ah, she
But
says
an annual epic royal wedding might be a lot. That's a serious endeavor.
maybe we'll put our wedding outfits on and go live here for you.
People would dig that. Well, hey, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.